Welcome back to the channel. Today I just wanted to talk to you a little bit and tell you about my journey, why I'm a practitioner with the Nelson Nash Institute, how I came across this concept of becoming your own banker and infinite banking, and ultimately, some of my thoughts about why I appreciate our Nelson Nash now. Back in 2020, maybe 2019, I was just kind of searching. I'm a lifelong learner. I like learning. I like to maybe try to make improvements when I can. I'm married. I don't have any children yet, but I'm thinking, always thinking I'm in real estate and how can I do better? What can I do to continue to maximize the effort that I put in on a daily basis? Myself and my wife at the time. How can we do this in a way that we can continue to get increase, but maybe not take so much risk? We had acquired lots of real estate properties together, and for the most part, everything worked very well. We were successful, but I didn't like the idea of continuing to take on more leverage. I love the bankers that I worked with for helping me achieve some of the goals that I had, but they always want more paperwork, and sometimes it just seemed really, more and more difficult to continue investing in real estate. So I'm searching for information, and I come across a concept of either be your bank or something like that to the effect. And I really didn't pay a whole lot of attention to it, but that thought never left my mind of like, what does it look like to be the bank or become your own banker, wherever it was. But then in 2020, there's a guy by the name of Mike Maloney who created a series of videos called The Hidden Secrets of Money. And in that series of videos, he was discussing the history of money, what money really is versus money and currency, what the differences are, how banks really operate, what the Federal Reserve is, what a fractional reserve banking system is. And I just really learned a lot about the financial world that I had never known. And then the thought of the bank and becoming a bank came back to me because I'm looking at what banks do, and I learn about what fractional reserve banking is and the fact that they're doing what they do because of the deposits that I put into their bank. I hadn't even thought about who owns a bank, what kind of benefits they get owning a bank, and I just was kind of captivated by that idea again. So then I go back on the search, and I believe I had actually bought the book, Becoming Your Own Banker, by then, but it had sat on my shelf for probably over a year before I picked it up and actually read it fully through. I may have breezed through it a little bit and kind of looked at some chapters like I do when I first get a book sometimes, but I really read it then because I had more of a reason to, and I also had found out during that year and we were going to have our son, who's now 5 years old. So I was really thinking about the kind of life I wanted to live and what financial decisions we needed to make in order to live that life. And I had mentioned before about how I wasn't as comfortable with either taking on more leverage or what it took to take on more leverage. And I I'd served in the military and the Air Force, so I had a thrift savings plan, and I've had 401ks and Roth IRAs and SEP accounts because I'm a business owner. I've had mutual funds, all these different things, right? I own real estate, different forms. All of that stuff had risk associated with it. None of it I had full control over. All of those things I had to go to someone else to access my hard-earned capital. I don't think I really wanted to continue that because I had a lot more at stake. I had been married at that point for, I think, 5 or 6 years. And I was just really trying to figure it out. I was trying to be a good husband, thinking about what it meant to be a father coming up that year. And I didn't like the idea of continuing to do things the way I was doing it. But to this day, I still love real estate. I love the world of, investing and what that means. But I understand that you really have to know what you're doing. And even when you do, and you might consider yourself an expert, you still don't have control. Just really think about that. In real estate, with a mutual fund, with normal stocks, bonds, 401k, you name it, all these things that we can invest in, we don't really have control of that stuff. You cannot control whether or not it goes up and down. Even in real estate, the idea of forcing appreciation by improving a property or to sell it, whether you're flipping or if you're renting a property, improving a property to then go charge more rent, that's not guaranteed. And what happens when the market does what it does and people can't afford the higher rate of rent or the house isn't going to sell for what you thought it was going to sell? All that stuff, that's what I was dealing with. And ultimately, we don't control any of that. So if you're making good money and you just want to put it somewhere that's safe, that you get a good rate of return, as we say, or get good growth, that it's protected, that it's an easy way to pass it on in the form of, an estate planning process to your family and your loved ones. I was really thinking about all that. And becoming your own banker seemed to check all those boxes. I just really didn't understand it. Because all that stuff I just said, that's not really what becoming your own banker is about. It's really about controlling the banking function, which is the movement of the money in our lives, which can certainly be with all these different investments, right? That can be a part of it. But we have a tendency, I had a tendency to not factor in the interest that we were paying on a mortgage, the lines of credit that we might have had to do business or to do whatever we were doing. Maybe you've got student loans and you've got debt associated with that you're paying interest on. I don't think we factor that in. We're told to not worry about that and to invest our money and save in taxes by investing in all these different vehicles by which we're going to get, write-offs, deductions, carryovers, whatever you want to call it. A way to pay less taxes by putting our money at risk now. And maybe we don't even understand it. And our Nelson Nash was really trying to teach us a different way because he went through the same exact thing. If you read his book and you watch his seminar that's on either DVD or digital form, he came to the same point of, I've got a bunch of leverage that I didn't think was going to work out this way, and now I've got a problem I've got to solve. And he came to a moment which he called personal introspection and said, hey, I'm spending way too much, I've got to save more money, which ultimately in his life was he had to pay more premium, which he was already doing. He just figured out he wasn't paying enough. I don't think he gets enough credit for this concept that he created and this process that he created to help us flourish. Everyone thinks it's about life insurance and being sold another product and somebody making money off you. That's why I became a practitioner, because I want to teach people like you and like me who just want to be able to do what they're already doing and not worry about loss, not worry about how they're going to take care of their families if they lose their job or the income, isn't coming in at the same rate that they thought it was going to, or maybe they don't want to work as hard because they want to spend more time with family. All these different reasons why we should be looking at a way to not put our money at risk, but to do something that's been proven for over 120 years in the form of life insurance policies with mutual companies that pay us a dividend. These companies have been profitable and they've been paying dividends for over 120 years. That's why I'm doing this. Ultimately, I want to help you become your own banker just like I did. If that's you, I hope that you will reach out and don't be afraid to do something different than other people are doing, because you're not going to see that this is mainstream. Your friends probably don't know about it, or they've got a misconceived, idea about it, about what it is and how it works. Or maybe your financial advisor or your CPA or whoever is in your life that gives you financial advice has told you that that's the worst thing you can do. I encourage you to continue doing the research and learn for yourself. And when you get to a point where you really want to understand it and you want to implement it, reach out to me. I will help continue to educate you, because that's what I did and that's what I'm doing for other people as well. It's worked for myself and my family, and boy, what a peaceful, stress-free way of living it is, because I don't have to worry about it. I do the things that I enjoy doing, and I put that exchange of value that I get from doing those things and just put it in the policies. And you can still go make some of the investments you want if you really know what you're doing and you got an expertise and you want to earn a higher rate of return, but put it here first. and do that systematically and with discipline for years. Long-term thinking, long-range thinking, that's what Nelson's first rule was. Do that and see what's going to happen. That's saving. That's not investing. I encourage you to really judge this idea, judge this concept on its own merits, and not with contempt about what you think you know about it, what somebody has told you, or what you've heard. I really appreciate you stopping by and watching this video. I hope you learned a little bit about me and why I'm doing this, and I hope you got value and that it piqued your interest to continue learning more, and ultimately maybe you'll become your own banker, and I'll be able to help you do so. Thanks again for stopping by, and I look forward to speaking with you soon. Thanks.